This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMudsta to get you 5% off anything on the site. You can also use the promo code MTGMudsta for 5% off your orders from Face-to-Face Games, Canada's largest Magic the Gathering store, with qualified orders getting free shipping Canada-wide. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is another Studio 1 with two Miirym players featuring Dom and Miguel. Mathieu has brought his Edric Spymaster of Trest, even though he had to borrow the Edric from me and he didn't return it after he left, and I'm still bitter about it, but I'll pick it up later on, and my Karador deck. Since this is a live stream game, we didn't keep opening hands, but Mathieu wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws, plays a forest, and casts Elvish Mystic. Miguel draws and runs it back, also playing a forest and an Elvish Mystic. I display a tapped Godless Shrine, passing turn. Dom draws and plays a tapped Steam Vents. Mathieu draws, playing an island, and has enough mana for his commander, Edric. Miguel plays a mountain for turn and goes to combat, hitting Dom for 1 to draw a card thanks to Edric, and then casting a Scaled Nurturer. He passes after that. I have a Sunpale Grove for turn, and play a turn 2 Hermit Druid. Dom draws and plays a Tropical Island. He then casts 3 visits, going to find a land, and passes. Mathieu draws, playing an Exotic Orchard for his turn. He then plays a Dowsing Dagger and gives Dom 2 Plant Defender tokens. He equips the dagger onto Edric and goes to combat, swinging him at Dom. Dom takes the hit, and the dagger transforms into the Lost Veil. After combat, Mathieu taps it for 3 blue, casting a Triton Shorestalker and a Looter Il-Kor. After that, he passes. Miguel draws and plays a Simic Guildgate. He then boops me for 1 with a Mystic, drawing a card, and then casts a Morph creature, which we all know is a Willbender. I draw and play a City of Brass. I cast a Stitcher's Supplier, milling 3, and then cast Skull Clamp, and equip it to mill another 3 and draw 2 as it dies. After that, I pass. Dom draws and plays a Verdant Catacombs. He cracks it for a land, losing 1, but shortcuts first, casting a Gruul's Signet, and then a Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. Mathieu draws and plays a Llanowar Elves, and then casts 3 visits after tapping his Lost Veil for green. The 3 visits gets him an untapped Breeding Pool, and he takes 2, and he then plays and equips an Imperial Plate to the Looter Il-Kor. Moving to combat, he swings the Looter at Miguel, and the Triton at Dom, and as they connect, he draws 2 from Edric, and then draws 1 and discards 1 from the Looter. Mathieu then plays a land and passes. Miguel draws and flips up his not Willbender, aka Rattleclaw Mystic, and makes 3 mana, and then uses his creatures and land to help cast Miirym. He gets to draw a card from Selvala because it's the biggest creature, and passes. I draw and play a Plains. I pay 3 mana for Karador, and then recast the Stitcher's Apprentice, and mill another 3 as it enters. I then pass to Dom. Dom draws and plays a Shivan Reef. He then plays a Mana Vault and casts his own Miirym, and then activates Selvala for 6 mana, casting a Thunderbreak Regent, which thanks to his commander, he gets a token copy of. After that, he passes turn. Mathieu draws and plays an island. He then plays a Witness Protection on Selvala, and then casts Explore, drawing a card and playing a Yavimaya Coast, and once that's done, drops a Blighted Agent. Going to combat, he swings at me with the Triton and the Looter. I take the hit while Mathieu draws 3 and discards 1. After that, he casts for the Prowled cost a Notorious Throng, gaining an extra turn and making 3 fairy tokens. For his extra turn, Mathieu draws and casts a Croaking Counterpart, making a Froggador. He then uses the Karador clone to cast Signal Pest from his graveyard, and equips the plate over onto the Blighted Agent before going to combat. He swings the agent at Miguel, the 3 fairies at me, and the looter and trident at Dom. We all take our damage, with Mathieu drawing 7 cards and discarding 1. After playing 2 turns in a row and drawing a bunch of cards, he finally passes. Miguel draws and plays a Mossfire Valley. He then casts an Icefall Regent, and with the dragon on the stack, Mathieu responds by casting a Rapid Hybridization on Miguel's Miirym, paying the ward cost by tapping his mana dorks. Miguel's commander gets blown up, and as the Regent enters, it freezes Mathieu's Blighted Agent. Miguel then plays Gadrock and passes. I draw and play Bloodstained Mire, losing 1 as I crack it to find a scrubland. I once more clamp the Stitcher, milling 3 and drawing 2. And then play a Peacekeeper and pass. Dom takes 1 off his mana vault and draws for turn. He casts a Dockside Extortionist, and Mathieu responds, casting a Dress Down at flash speed to stop the Enter the Battlefield trigger. With his turn shut down, Dom passes. Mathieu draws and moves the Imperial Plate to the Looter Il Core. He then uses Slip Out the Back on the Peacekeeper and goes to combat. He swings at Miguel for 10 with the Looter, and the Triton, Signal Pest, and 3 Fairy tokens at me, and as they connect, draws 7 and discards 1. After that, he plays a Burgeoning and then a Forgotten Ancient. He follows up with a Fairy Seer from his graveyard thanks to Froggador, and passes. Miguel has a Mountain for turn, and casts a Wrathful Red Dragon. He then plays Thrakkus the Butcher, and goes to combat. He swings the Frog Lizard token at me, and the Icefall Regent at Mathieu. I declare no blocks, but Mathieu chumps with the Fairy Seer, and Miguel has the Wrathful Red Dragon trigger, ping the Blighted Agent for 1 to take it out. With nothing else, he passes. My Peacekeeper phases in on my upkeep, and I pay 2 to keep it alive before drawing for turn. I then activate Hermit Druid, milling until I hit a forest, and play it. I follow up with a Birthing Pod, and pass to Dom. Dom draws, and casts a Rite of Replication on Selvala, although the original sticks around as it's a legitimate business person. With nothing else, he passes turn. Mathieu puts all of his Forgotten Ancient counters onto the Shore Stalker and draws for turn. He plays a Beastmaster Ascension and follows up with a Druid's Repository. He casts a Main Face Beast Within, blowing up my Peacekeeper, and is able to move to combat. He swings the Fairies and Signal Pest at me, the Looter Il Core and the Shore Stalker at Miguel, and Froggador at Dom. This is enough counters to make the Beastmaster Ascension active, and I promptly die, while Dom blocks with his legitimate business Selvala, and Miguel takes 21. Mathieu gets to put 7 counters onto the Druid's Repository, and then as they connect, draws 7 and discards 1. After combat, he plays a Growth Spiral, drawing a card, and then casts a Shardless Agent, cascading into Lightning Greaves. He moves the Greaves over onto the Looter, and then plays a Bala Ged Recovery, returning Beast Within from his graveyard to hand. Miguel draws and goes to combat. He swings at Mathieu with the 3 dragons, and Dom with the Frog Lizard. Mathieu responds by casting Beast Within on the Wrathful Red Dragon, but still takes 13, while Dom takes 3. After combat, Miguel plays a Finale of Devastation, putting 8 into the X, and he ends up picking a Reclamation Sage. He uses it to destroy the Beastmaster Ascension, and in his end step, makes a treasure from Gadrock and passes. Dom draws and plays a Training Center as his land for turn. He then taps Selvala for 6 mana, and plays an Ancient Bronze Dragon, which he gets a token copy of, and draws off of. Going to combat, he swings his 2 Thunderbreak Regents and Commander at Mathieu, and the Dockside at Miguel to draw a card. They all take their hits, and after that, Dom passes. Mathieu moves all of his Forgotten Ancient counters onto the Shore Stalker again, and draws for turn. He then plays a Spore Frog, and follows up with Sword of War and Peace, which he equips onto the Shore Stalker. He follows up with a Quietus Spike, which he then puts onto the Looter Il Core, by quickly swapping the Greaves around. For combat, Mathieu swings the Looter Il Core at Miguel, and the Triton Shore Stalker and Signal Pest at Dom. After the creatures connect, Miguel is at 2 life, and Dom is at 12, while Mathieu gains 3 life and draws a bunch of cards from the Edric triggers. He then uses his Druid's Repository to make a mana to cast Wizard class and passes. Miguel draws and plays a Forest. Going to combat, he swings at Dom for 1 with the Mystic, and sends Thrakkus, the Icebreaker Regent, Reclamation Sage, and 2 3/3s at Mathieu. Mathieu double blocks Thrakkus with the Shardless Agent and Edric, and chumps the Regent with a Fairy token, and puts Froggador under the 3/3. Mathieu still takes 2, and Dom takes 1 and Miguel draws a card. He then plays a blue dragon, shrinking Mathieu's fairies, Lutheril Core, and Shorestalker before making 3 treasures at the end of turn from Gadrock. Dom draws and swings his Dragon Armada at Mathieu, and before damage, Mathieu sacrifices the Spore Frog to fog damage. After that, Dom passes. Mathieu draws and levels up Wizard class, drawing 2 more cards. He then plays a Primeval Protector to buff his team, and goes to combat, swinging at both Miguel and Dom for lethal. With nothing able to stop him, Mathieu is able to take the win. Game review time. So unfortunately we didn't get to see too much of the action from Miirym Sentinel Worm despite the fact that we had 2 of them at the table, but considering it's probably one of the most popular commanders from Commander Legends Baldur's Gate, I wouldn't be surprised to see more of these decks popping up on the channel. Mathieu's Edric Spymaster of Tress deck did exactly what the deck wants to do, which is play a lot of little creatures that can't be blocked, hit people, draw cards, draw counterspells, draw ramp, do the same, rinse, repeat until everyone's dead. It's a tried and true strategy, and unfortunately no one really drew any ways to interact with it. I think had a board wipe resolved, he probably would have been in a much worse state than he was. I had hoped to live at least 1 more turn after casting that Birthing Pod, and I had a couple creatures in my hand that I could bring out and then pod away into Elesh Norn, which would have hopefully dealt with Mathieu quite a bit. Unfortunately, he saw that line of play, and as a result, I got taken out immediately. I'm actually thinking about taking apart Karador and most of my other decks to start building some newer stuff. Not that I don't like Karador, I just think it's time for a change. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.